Doug and Darcy. Married couple I wanted to tell you about. Darcy was a woman from the Kingdom Hall. She was a steadfast Jehovah's Witness. She auxiliary pioneered almost every other month. She was at every Saturday morning field service group. She never missed a book study, never missed a Watchtower study, had her hand up almost every paragraph. She was a loyal JW woman. The bane of Darcy's existence, however, was that she had been, since the age of 18, she had been married to Doug. Doug was not someone who was opposed to the truth in any way. In fact, he had been loosely associated with Jehovah's Witnesses since about the age of 12. He'd gone to live with his JW aunt and uncle, and they had taken him to a lot of meetings. Doug was one of those people who just never made the truth his own. He was lazy. And it's not to say that Darcy didn't try to coax him along. Darcy even tried to get him dressed up in a suit. He said, it makes me look fat. Darcy tried to, drag him along to the Sunday meetings. He'd say, I'll miss the NFL pregame show. It was hopeless. Nevertheless, Darcy continued on, and it was just her cross to bear. I mean, her torture stake to bear. What am I saying? At any rate, things continued this way until a very serious turn of events came to unfold. It happened during Doug and Darcy's annual vacation. They were up in the Rocky Mountains for a week, and they were going to do some camping, fishing, etc. During their vacation, a surprise snowstorm blew in suddenly. It was not forecasted. It's March. They didn't expect it. And they had been out hiking in the woods. When snow, wind, freezing rain just started blowing everywhere. They were walking through the woods. They couldn't find their way back to the campsite. They walked for hours. It was getting dark. They were exhausted. The temperature was dropping. It was below zero. They tried to build a fire, but everything was wet. It's sub-zero temperatures now. It's after midnight. They're sitting together, huddling together, trying to stay warm. And Doug and Darcy said, this could be it. We might not make it through the night. And Darcy commented, I'm sure glad I have a personal relationship with Jehovah. I bet you wish you did too right now, Doug. And Doug thought for a minute. And then he started praying. Doug started praying out loud. Dear Heavenly Father, it's me, Doug Wallace. Sorry I never went out in field service. Sorry I didn't go to the meetings. I guess you can see I'm in a pretty tough spot. I may not make it through without your help, Jehovah. I know I never prayed to you before. But if you'll hear me now and save me, I promise I will never bother you again.
This article, The Women's Movement. Ha! How fulfilling could it possibly be? Idiotic. A working woman's life is hectic and fragmented. Look at this mess. Just empty frustration. Stupid. Pointless. Here we have two very caring elders listening to this woman confess about her fornications and her bedroom sins. And we can't help notice that they're both seeming to be covering something. They're both trying to control or hide something in their lap. I can't tell what it is. Ask yourself, women,
Am I as eager to spend time preparing for meetings as I am to shop or watch TV?
Occasionally, some people pointedly accuse Jehovah's Witnesses of breaking up marriages. Where did they get that idea? However, numerous successful marriages where only one spouse is one of Jehovah's Witnesses show this to be far from the truth. As proven by this anonymous letter written by someone which we will not name. For almost 28 years now, I've been the happy husband of a charming wife who was one of Jehovah's Witnesses. That is why when I saw an article in my regular newspaper presenting that Jehovah's Witnesses as a threat, I decided to provide you with an authoritative testimony. They do not smoke or get drunk. Is this a threat? They are tolerant Christians who do not impose upon anybody the rules that they follow. Rather, they are an example in many areas. They are not involved in financial scandals or in drug trafficking. See? They do not take a vow of chastity, that's for sure. And I can assure you, they live normal lives, Buck. You may well ask me, so why aren't you yourself one of Jehovah's Witnesses? I am not a JW, but... Because Christian faith and strict morals are needed. And these are not easily found among common mortals. We have another scene from the back room of the Kingdom Hall. We have another pretty lady here who's come to confess her sexual sins to the elders. And this man is digging deep in his pocket for some reason. He's got something in his pocket he's really trying to get at. And he's got a big smile on his face. He's really smiling.
From our readers, Healing Burns. Some time ago, I wanted to ignite the pilot light of my bath water heater. I turned on the gas, and after a little while, I lit the match. Suddenly, everything around me burst into flames. The back of my left hand, which I had used to turn the pilot on, was completely burned. You advise turning off both gas and electricity at their sources as quickly as possible when gas is leaking from a broken pipe. But as a gas fitter, I would like to inform you that under the circumstances, to operate an electrical switch on or off can cause a spark with the danger of an explosion.
Do you, like David, throw your burdens and anxieties on Jehovah? Truly, David was our exemplar in faith in Jehovah. Oh my God, he is really, really believing in Jehovah. He's right up there with Jehovah, brothers. Jehovah has taken over. Because they lack a healthy dread of God, many youths engage in destructive behavior. I couldn't help notice the black one is drinking a 40.
From our readers, Apartheid. If your organization loves people so much, why do you not condemn apartheid for what it is? Cruel. College education. I disagreed with the article, college education. A preparation for what? And also, the letter in the August 22nd issue. I personally know young people who have attended college, and they have stimulating jobs as well as strong Christian marriages. Life is not just learning practical things. As we walk in the woods, look at the stars, learn to play tennis, or read a book about art, we are not doing anything practical. But these things can enrich our lives tremendously. Your article on college education annoyed me. I agree with the reader who said it was unfair and biased. Rah! First, although there may be exceptions, the thrust of college education is generally against faith in God and in favor of humanist philosophies. Second, college education usually puts the emphasis on getting ahead in the world and attaining material success, contrary to the advice of Jesus and Apostle John. Third, the usual college environment fosters a spirit of independence and permissiveness, resulting in sexual immorality. Reading your September 22nd issue, I began getting a headache after reading Watching the World. I flipped to page 31. My headache was getting worse. But there was the article, Win Your Headaches, telling me about how crushed ice helps headaches. So I went downstairs, got some ice. This is one way a wake has helped me, and there have been many more. I am 9 years old, by the way. Keep up the good work. Speaking in tongues. I have received copies of your article where I was grossly misquoted. Speaking in tongues, is it from God? You misconstrued my words to make it appear that I am embarrassed by speaking in tongues, when that is definitely not the case. In truth, I was quoting C.S. Lewis, who said that tongues were an embarrassment. Then I proceeded to tell the mighty importance of tongues in church history, which is why it should not be an embarrassment to the church. This misquotation actually makes it seem that I oppose tongues, which I certainly do not. We regret that we inadvertently attributed the statement of C.S. Lewis. Have a good one. Appalled at your article, Why is Luther's House in Shambles? I have close ties with my relatives still living in Germany. I am 40 years old and Lutheran. My grandfather was a Lutheran minister, and both of my sisters are married to Lutheran ministers. What appalls me about your articles is that you seek to discredit my faith and the faith of my forefathers. How dare you! Liberation theology.
In your November 8, 1987 issue, you published an illustration that defames the Catholic Church. And it offends me to see a cross represented in the form of machine guns. This dishonors the cross on which our Savior Jesus Christ was crucified.
Criticizing other religions.
I have been a faithful reader of Awake for several years now, and I think you were on the right track. However, I am shocked by your constant criticism of other religions, for it sometimes amounts to backbiting and abusive speech, even bordering on slander. To say the least, it is unkind and diverts you from the mission which you claim to fulfill, which I believe is to proclaim the good news.
While it is most commendable that you draw attention in your publications to the problems of the homeless, wouldn't it be much better to follow the example set by other religious organizations and lend a helping hand? Surely your resources could stretch to allow even a small financial contribution. But instead of doing something about it, you constantly point to a new system under God's rule as the solution to this and other woes. AIDS. I am writing in response to your articles on AIDS, and especially a letter commenting that Jehovah's Witnesses seem to be the only ones free of the risk of contracting AIDS, because they don't shoot drugs, practice homosexuality or bisexuality, are faithful to their spouses, and don't accept blood transfusions. AIDS is a disease that threatens all, even Jehovah's Witnesses. I deeply resent the insinuation that only they are free of AIDS. Please stop making it sound as if it's a divine retribution, because then you'd have to admit that cancer is also, and it isn't. Avoiding rape.
Last December, I was attacked. A man grabbed me from behind. I remembered that the magazine from July 8, 1980, advised women to scream in such situations. Since he had his hand over my mouth, I tried biting it to be able to scream, but it was impossible. He kept saying that he would kill me if I didn't calm down. But I was in no doubt as to what I must do. I managed to open my mouth and found the palm of his hand between my teeth. I bit him with all my strength, and he loosened his hold on me. I bit him again, and pulling his hand away with his nails, I screamed as loud as I could. Swearing at me, he punched me hard in my mouth, and then ran off. How grateful I was! I will never miss an article in these fine magazines.
To the truth in any way. In fact, he had been loosely associated with Jehovah's Witnesses since about the age of 12. He'd gone to live with his JW aunt and uncle, and they had taken him to a lot of meetings. Doug was One of those people who just never made the truth his own. He was lazy. And it's not to say that Darcy didn't try to coax him along. Darcy even tried to get him dressed up in a suit. He said, it makes me look fat. Darcy tried to, drag him along to the Sunday meetings. He'd say, I'll miss the NFL pregame show. It was hopeless. Nevertheless, Darcy continued on, and it was just her cross to bear. Doug and Darcy. Married couple I wanted to tell you about. Darcy was a woman from the Kingdom Hall. She was a steadfast Jehovah's Witness. She auxiliary pioneered almost every other month. She was at every Saturday morning field service group. She never... missed a book study, never missed a Watchtower study, had her hand up almost every paragraph. She was a loyal JW woman. The bane of Darcy's existence, however, was that she had been, since the age of 18, she had been married to Doug. Doug was not someone who was a